Welcome to This Week in Westerly with your hosts, Ben Barber and Michael Niemeyer. Hey everybody, welcome back to This Week in Westerly. My name is Ben Barber.
I'm Michael Niemeyer.
And I forgot to do this before the show. It's your show, but you're in the driver's seat.
Well, the first thing to ask is, how are you?
I am swell. Yeah, I'm good. It was a pretty good week. How are you?
Good. I got like the most important video of my entire life this week. My daughter, for those who have been following, has a brain disease. A lot of things she can't do, and typically one of them is laugh. It's actually a pretty complicated brain maneuver. About 7 months ago, she laughed, and I was like, I wish I had gotten it on film. And this week, she started laughing every time she heard a zipper. It's faded a little bit, but while it was happening during those few days, I got it on video. And I am so excited. I'm showing it to everyone. Unfortunately, it's too big to text, so if you have, I've been sending it over WhatsApp, but I'm so excited about this video. That's what's been happening.
Please send that. That's amazing. I have WhatsApp, my friend, and I would love to see that. That's so cool.
I know, right?
That's amazing. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm supposed to share this video out to different groups so that more people see it, but I'm just engrossed in that story right now. Oh man.
I know, it's a wonderful way to cap your week, to have something like that happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't even know. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's news in Westerly, but I don't really know that any of it matters to me at the moment.
Let me try you.
Okay. You can go ahead. I don't think anything is going to top that, though.
So we have some of our past guests have some things that have happened. On June 15th, the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce named their Citizen of the Year. Lisa Kanicki talked to us about that a little bit. His name was Spike Lobdell. He started the NESS Community Sailing Club. And I don't know if you remember how we talked about him last time, but he not only has strong leadership qualities, he inspires leadership qualities in other people. So we're lucky to have him, and a big heartfelt congratulations to Spike Lobdell for being the Citizen of the Year. Let's see. After that, I want to talk about our last guest. They have the Juneteenth celebration coming up on June 20th, Sunday. From 10 to 12, Westerly ARC is going to have a wonderful event on the steps of the post office there. It's going to be music. There's going to be fun. You go ahead and get on down there and have a good time, because it's really I was just thinking, we celebrate so much in this country. It's odd that we're only just now getting around to having a holiday to celebrate the end of slavery. Well, why don't we go ahead and do it? And speaking of Juneteenth, our friends over at the Westerly Library are having a Juneteenth story walk on June 20th in Wilcox Park. It's right after the Juneteenth celebration from Westerly ARC. You can walk right there. It's from 12 to 2. They'll be talking about the heroes of the civil rights movement. So plenty going on in this town. I think it's well worth me mentioning it. I think I did at least match the level of excitement from earlier. There's some wonderful stuff going on here in Westerly.
Thank you very much. I'm thinking now it would be better. I like you telling me this information like when it's happening, like on the show, because that's great. Because then I get to react to it naturally. However, it would be. I think that you sending me the articles beforehand, the information, so that I can put it in the lower thirds and not create them as we go might be helpful. I'm just thinking about that now. We have no pre-production meeting for these shows, so this is happening right now. If you just text me them, and I'll make the lower thirds, and I'll be able to put this stuff up quicker and not have to think about how to word it.
In case anyone can't tell, our planning meetings for this are about 5 to 15 minutes before we go live. So that's about
Yeah,
it.
they're supposed to be 15 minutes before we go live, but I'm never ready 15 minutes before we go live. All right. That's amazing. Do we have our first return guests on?
Yes, our first, we've had a return organization, but this is our first
Yes.
actual return guest.
Our second return organization.
Our second return organization. Our guests are from Jonnycake Center today. I'm very excited to welcome back Matt Levy, the social media and marketing manager from Jonnycake Center, and to welcome for the first time Sarah Shaw, the pantry manager of Jonnycake Center. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me back. Thanks for having us again.
Absolutely.
Thanks for letting me join.
Nice to meet you, Sarah. That is the second time that I've said that today, and I just want to ask this straight up. Have we met each other before?
Possibly. I'm horrible at.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. As long as it's mutual, we're good. I'm fine. Matt, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
I can't believe that it was April. Mainly because I can't believe that we've been doing this show for over 7 weeks at least. That seems crazy to me. Anyway,
and congratulations to you guys too. I mean, I've been following your show. It's beginning off the ground, and it's really incredible what you guys have done with this. And I think Westerly is very lucky to have you guys doing this. So thank you.
Oh, man.
That's all, Mike.
To have you saying that it's a real honor. Thanks for saying that, Matt. Well, I just wanted to, before we start, I don't get a chance to nerd out with theater folks. I did want to ask, what's your opinion of Wicked?
My opinion of Wicked?
Yeah.
Oh, so I personally love the show. I think it's just fantastic all around. I mean, I think between the music, the storyline, the physical production of the show, for those who haven't seen it, for those who might not know, Wicked is a Broadway musical. It is kind of like the other perspective of the Wizard of Oz. It would be kind of like this, almost like the story of the Wizard of Oz from the Wicked Witch of the West perspective. And you see in the show that she's not so wicked after all. It's just a term that people apply to her for kind of refusing to back down from when she's trying to seek the truth. And I think it's a tremendously inspiring story. I just love the music, and I think it's incredible to see live. I know some people, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people might say it's a little simplistic. Perhaps might be some truth to that, but I think it's great fun to see, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. And I think that the show is interesting because it was it's based off the novel Wicked by Gregory Maguire, which I think came out, if I'm not wrong, sometime in the 90s, I believe. And then the show Wicked was made for Broadway, I think in 2002, 2003, when a lot of stuff was going on with the political administration at the time. And so there's a lot of kind of subtle political parallels that were pretty interesting back in 2003. And what's interesting is watching the show now, even though a lot of our political and social battles have evolved since then, I still think the show is honestly more relevant than ever. So I love it.
I'm so glad I asked you. You were ready. I thought I'd ask you something you weren't ready for, but boy, was I wrong.
Quick question: why Wicked? Why did all the shows, Mike? Why did you ask about Wicked? That's because I'm cool with nerding out about theater with Matt and you for like the next 3 hours. That's fine with me. But why Wicked out of all of the hundreds of Broadway shows?
Well, first of all, I do also like it. It's one of the shows I've actually seen on Broadway, but it is also so divisive amongst theater kids because you either hate it or you love it. That's what I found. So it's one of those things that I knew I'd get a big reaction.
Yeah, I found it in my own experience. It is pretty polarizing. Yeah. I've called it kind of my guilty pleasure in the past.
We got a hedge. Well, thanks for indulging me.
Hold on. Equal opportunity. Sarah, your thoughts on the musical Wicked?
I loved it. I don't have as much background on it as Matt does, but I was lucky enough to see it at PPAC a few years back. Had great seats and thoroughly enjoyed it. So
Yes.
I think it's so much fun to see live, just like the way the sets look, the lighting, the costumes, and just like the bit of dancing that's there. I love any show that has just a glorious live full orchestra that just plays beautiful music. You just can't go wrong with that.
The chorus was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, all right. Let's just keep dancing through the show. Mike, let's move on to the Jonnycake Center.
Sure, Jonnycake Center. I'd like to ask the both of you, what's been going on? Just describe for anyone who doesn't know from the last show, what's been going on with Jonnycake Center since about March 2020 when all this madness began.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll start out with that. For those who may not know the Jonnycake Center Westerly, we are a food pantry and social services organization and thrift store in Westerly on Industrial Drive near the train station. We do social services. We have our fully operational food pantry, which Sarah will be discussing more in detail in a little bit. And we have our thrift store, which generates revenue to fund our food pantry and social services. We also have volunteer opportunities. And before the pandemic, we had educational initiatives. We had a program that's called Real Jobs Rhode Island that we did in conjunction with the state and the Ocean Community Chamber, for which we did paid job training for unemployed or underemployed local adults. It was a really, really, honestly, it was a wonderful program because we could see people come in who just needed a change in their lives. And we had a couple really talented instructors who would kind of help these participants become the most hireable job candidates possible. So the instructors would teach them soft skills, interviewing techniques, resume skills, computer skills. And over the course, and the participants would get paid for their time. And then following their successful completion of the program, they would get they get placed into a paid internship or similar sort of program. So that's kind of where we were before the pandemic. And then once everything hit in March, in a way, it kind of just forced our organization mostly to a bit of a screeching halt, except that we were able to keep the food pantry open. I've never had to close the food pantry, and social services did remain open. So we kept our most essential services open so that nobody had to go without food during that time. Nobody had people who were struggling to pay their most important bills, like for mortgages or rent, for most important medical bills. They still had the resources that they need. But we did have to close our thrift store for the better part of 2 months, which really did affect our bottom line. And it was really tough. We had to completely postpone, unfortunately, more or less indefinitely. We had to postpone that educational program, which I think is one of the toughest sacrifices we've had to make. We severely restricted the amount of people who come into the building. And this is all kind of at the very beginning of the pandemic, just in the sense that we didn't know what was going to happen next, or if we're talking about a timeline of a couple weeks or months, or could it possibly be years? We just didn't know. So that was kind of where we were back in last March and last April, just kind of running on a bit of a skeleton crew. Some good things were happening during that time. We did use that time the thrift store was closed to do a complete remodel and renovation of the thrift store. So there was a bit of a silver lining for that. Around last Memorial Day, we were able to reopen the thrift store to the public. For those who might have shopped with us before then and since then, you might have seen that we had to institute a number of new policies, really designed to keep all of our staff and volunteers safe, and especially to protect the food pantry and make sure that we didn't have to risk or jeopardize any of our operations. So we're still strictly enforcing our face mask policy, which we're hoping to revise as soon as we possibly can, as the local vaccination rates improve. But we did have to institute a strict face mask policy. We started limiting the amount of people who could come into the thrift store, limiting the amount of people who could come into the building. I'm sure Sarah will talk about how the food pantry modified its operations. We try to kind of rethink from top to bottom. How can we do what we need to do, which is provide social services in the food pantry and ideally the thrift store in a way that was safe and responsible and guaranteed our long-term ability to operate. So we have been playing it very, very safe through the pandemic. And I think that the plus side of doing so is that we have never had to officially close, and that clients have not missed a day of service. And social services still was able to provide what they needed to provide. And since then, we've kind of just been slowly but surely getting back to where we were before the pandemic. So the thrift store, since last Memorial Day, we've been slowly expanding our hours, expanding the amount of people who are able to come in and shop at one time. Social services started reintroducing the ability for some people to come in person to receive some social services. Other services are still conducted over phone and email. So it's still a bit of a hybrid. We've been kind of having more volunteers come back, which has been really, really nice because our organization does rely on the generosity of our volunteers to do a lot of the groundwork that needs to be done to keep us operational. So it's been great that we've been starting to see some familiar faces who we haven't seen in a while, starting to reintroduce some programs. Unfortunately, we're still not quite at a place to bring back the educational program, but we've been, I guess, getting back to a point where we're able to do more than we were last year, approaching what we were able to do in 2019 and earlier. I don't know if Sarah, you have any thoughts about the food pantry, what it's been like for you in the last year.
I can briefly on that, if that's okay, Michael. Like Matt said, we had to drastically change things. We cut back our hours, mainly because we just didn't have the volunteer staff to cover all the open shifts. We had to scale back how many people were in the space. It's a decent sized space, but we still felt comfortable having only 4 or 5 people in there at a time at that point. So if the volunteers didn't excuse themselves for health concerns and other related concerns regarding the virus, I had to excuse a lot of people, which was hard. But we got down to a core group and we managed like Matt, at the beginning, everything was so touch and go. It seemed like every 2 or 3 days we had to slightly modify how we were doing things. But we never had to stop. We went from a full service model where people could come in and shop the shelves to us kind of touching the product to, okay, we got to pre-bag stuff. So we pre-bagged all of the staple items that we would see folks taking on a regular basis, your, peanut butter jelly, pasta, rice, beans, veggies, those kinds of things. And then as we got more comfortable, we were able to introduce more choice. We've kind of settled into what we've been doing probably around the same time the store opened. So probably mid-May, late May last year, we were able to really get our system down. So we are still pre-bagging those staples, but we have like a whiteboard menu outside of all the odds and ends that might not suit everybody, but we still wanted folks to be able to have access to. And same thing with the vegetables and meat and dairy. So I tell people and new volunteers, we are part pantry workers and part waiters and waitresses. And it's worked out really, really well. We haven't had any complaints from our guests. Most people are very surprised with how much food they are still able to get from the pantry. We actually started a little hashtag campaign of not just rice and beans. We had a new couple come in and, it's usually hold on, one more, hold on, we have one more bag. Hold on, there's one more cart, hold on. And they were just overwhelmed. And their comment was basically, I thought food pantries were rice and beans. And we're really proud to be way more than that. We'll always have them, but we want to always have more than that. So that's kind of where we've been at with the pantry. We haven't changed it back yet to have folks in. We are adding back our Thursday afternoon hours for folks who can't get here during the morning hours. So that starts this Thursday coming up, the 24th, from 3 to 6. So hopefully that allows a few more people that haven't been able to get to us to get to us.
One of the most striking things Matt shared with us last time is that you provide 250,000 meals every year. So this community, is so dependent on your services. Your perseverance throughout all of this was so appreciated and vital. If you had just been providing rice and beans, no one would have blamed you. But the fact that you still went above and beyond, even through this difficult time, is such a testament to your perseverance as an institution. Thank you so much. We last spoke in April. Tell us what's been going on since then. Oh, Matt, you're muted.
There we go. So we've had a few things going on since then. Let's see, kind of where it's such a jumble, kind of where to begin. I'll go over a couple things. We were happy to start offering vouchers in our thrift store for electronics and children's activities for social services clients, which is something that we were really excited for, especially with so many people home, and especially at the time that this was introduced, when schools were still a bit of a hybrid model. It was good to introduce no-cost electronics and children's activities for a lot of our clients back in April. So we were very happy to do that. We had some really wonderful community support. I mean, we've had wonderful community support really since 1975, since we were founded, but especially in the last year or so. Our partners at the Westerly Stop and Shop in April named us the beneficiary of their community bag program. So this was in April, where if you went to the Westerly Stop and Shop, if you purchased a $2.50 reusable community bag, our organization will receive $1 of that as a donation for every one of those bags that was purchased. And it's really great because with just $1, the food pantry can purchase 10 pounds of food from the Rhode Island Community Food Bank. And it was just a nice, easy way to go green, which was nice around Earth Day, reduce our overall plastic consumption use and also support the food pantry. So that was back in April. I believe this June, at the Pawcatuck, Connecticut Stop and Shop, we are the beneficiary of their Bloomin' for Good program. So if you go to the Pawcatuck Stop and Shop, look for a Bloomin' for Good flower bouquet. I believe they're marked with a red circle, and I believe they are $9.99 each. And for every one of those that's sold in the store in June, the Jonnycake Center Westerly Social Services Food Pantry will receive $1 of that as a donation, which again helps purchase 10 pounds of food for every $1. It also helps our social services office offer the emergency financial assistance for clients that they need. So it's a great way to bring some colorful flowers into your house and support our organization. And one thing that we have been particularly excited about that's happened a little bit earlier and is coming back starting next week is we had a COVID-19 vaccination clinic on site. So this is something that was a pretty big deal for us. We had our friends at Wood River Health Services come in to administer vaccines. This would have been, I believe the first week was the week of June 21st, I think, or excuse me, May. It was the end of May and very beginning of June. We had two weeks of the vaccine clinic hosted right in our back parking lot at the Jonnycake Center Westerly. We had appointments available. Walk-ins were welcome. Wood River Health Services was on hand to offer the Moderna vaccine to pretty much anybody at all who was interested in Rhode Island or Connecticut. It began as a Rhode Island focused initiative. So first it was Rhode Island residents 18 and up, come get your Moderna vaccine. We also had some single dose Johnson & Johnson vaccines available for those who are interested. And then we were able to open it up to Connecticut residents I think before the vaccine clinic began. So it was a really great way to kind of bring in some more of our friends and neighbors. And then on the last day of the clinic, I believe it was June 5th for the first round, we actually had the option for children 12 to 17 to get their first dose of the Pfizer vaccine, again administered by Wood River Health Services. So it was it took a bit of planning to put all the moving pieces into place so that we could safely offer this vaccination option while still without impacting the operations of the thrift store, the food pantry, or social services. But I mean, to everybody's credit, as far as I know, it went off really without a hitch. The numbers that I have are that I think 110 people came during that first round to get their vaccine, which for us, I mean, it's wonderful. It's just that's so many more people who are protected now, and it just reduces the risk in the overall community. So the first round of that was the end of May, early June. But starting this coming Monday and Tuesday, June 21st and 22nd, for those who have not had their vaccine yet, we will be offering a second round of the clinic. We'll only be offering Johnson & Johnson vaccines, but that will be this Monday and Tuesday, June 21st and 22nd, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. with a half-hour break from 12 to 12:30. No appointments are needed. Anybody who's a Connecticut or Rhode Island resident, 18 or older, is welcome to just kind of come to our rear parking lot. You'll see a big tent set up with a lot of friendly people waving you over. And if you or someone you know are in need of the vaccine still, it's a really convenient option for those in Westerly, particularly in the North End. There's no cost associated with it. There's staff there to monitor you to make sure that everything goes right during the vaccination process. And if you come, you'll have the opportunity to enter a drawing for $100 for credit in our thrift store. So if you've been to our thrift store, you know that $100 can go a pretty long way.
Wow. So since April, you've been busy, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Occupying ourselves.
That's wonderful. That's so much wonderful stuff, making people safe in this community. I want to turn over to Sarah for a moment to talk about the food pantry and what's coming up there. I know you shared some change in availability, but if you could reiterate that and also share anything else going on with the food pantry.
Sure. So because of the time of year, it kind of lends itself into the garden as well. So I'll discuss both. So our school program for children, which is called Power Pack, is going to change at the end of the month, beginning of July, and roll over into the Summer Splash program. Over the last couple of years, we've really worked hard to reduce any barriers that were preventing parents and guardians from enrolling their children in the program. And we decided, Sarah Cody, our programs director, and I decided that when folks come in starting July 1 to get their Power Pack, we're just going to have them redo the intake form and enroll them in the Summer Splash program. So it's kind of a semi-automatic rollover. And what this will allow us to do is capture incoming kindergartners into the program, because it is a program for school-age children, and we can kind of exit out the seniors. What I always tell everybody, though, is the bags that we pack, there's always plenty of, fun, healthy kid groceries for the little ones and the older ones as well. So that's something that's coming up soon. And as well as that, our local farmers market is going to start up mid-July, as not to overlap with the clinic because it takes place in the same part of our back parking lot. We are starting a little bit later this year, but I think that's okay. That gives me a little bit more time to prepare. Last year, our farmers market was a complete drive-through operation. It was operated kind of like a CSA. You got your mystery bag of produce. We always kept the tomatoes separate and added at the end so they didn't get squished. We had beautiful herb bouquets that we could offer to folks, and also flowers. I'm big on bringing joy to people, and you should have seen the faces light up when we offered just a couple of zinnias. Sorry, my dog is joining us. So those are things that are happening soon. So for this year's market, really things started to change very fast as far as how safe we feel and how well vaccinated our community is. One of the other little side effects, if you will, of doing the clinic is we cold called a lot of our families to let them know we were doing it. And resoundingly, the response was, "I'm all set. I already got mine. I'm all set. I already got mine." So that was kind of an exciting little thing to hear just from our own population. But yeah, so our farmers market this year, I'm really hoping to have a little bit more choice involved. I'm thinking of maybe pre-bagging those staple vegetables, the potatoes, carrots, onions, that, you know, they are what they are no matter what. And I'm hoping to offer a beautiful local spread because we are partnering with other agencies, other farms, our own farm. And so that way there folks can kind of pick and choose with help of a volunteer. And those are the, again, the kind of more interesting vegetables, if you will. Not everybody wants to deal with kale and not everybody knows what to do with bok choy. So we'll have those as choices to kind of walk by and grab that. We're hoping it'll kind of expedite the process a little bit as well, just to keep everybody comfortable and safe. You know, it'll move a little bit quicker if the pre-bag things are done. And then it's, like I said, then it's just the other produce. I think those are the two main things as far as the pantry goes for right now.
I heard you mention a community garden. What's going on there?
So the Jonnycake Center has been the fiscal agent for the Charlestown Community Garden over in Innigirt Park for a good number of years. And the end of growing season, I'm trying to remember now if it was because this whole loss of year really messes with my own, you know, internal timeline. I believe it was either in 2018 or 2019, we decided that, you know, the folks that were running it, the two volunteers that were running it were ready to pass the baton or pass the hose, I guess. And because I have a background in horticulture and agriculture, it seemed like a really nice fit for me to take it on. So we took it on fully last year. Officially, we took on the garden, and not an ideal year to take on a new project. But we managed. We didn't grow quite as much, but we still pulled just a couple 100 pounds shy of 3,000 pounds of fresh organic produce out of that garden. So we're super, super proud. So we're in year 2 of ownership and feeling much more confident about it this year. I have a volunteer, Chris, who is my right hand over there. She and her husband have been just phenomenal getting us into shape. So we're kind of in a transition year as far as the garden is in a little bit of disrepair. You know, it just happens. It's out in the sun, and the sun damages things, right? So we've been lucky enough to just acquire a very generous grant. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was from the Rhode Island Foundation.
I believe that's correct.
I believe it was from the Rhode Island Foundation. And those funds are really going to help us whip that garden back into shape. But we're pretty much fully planted at this point, other than the things that will grow successively throughout the summer. And yeah, we're really excited. It's so wonderful. Some of the volunteers I'm kind of re-meeting for the first time because we also created little pods last summer. So there weren't too many gardeners in the garden at the same time. So we had Team Wednesday, and we would just email them. All right, Team Wednesday, this is what you're doing this week. Generally, we're there Tuesday and Thursday mornings. So it was nice to kind of meet some people that I knew, but not really. You know, we're in that transition at the center too. We've hired people since the pandemic started, and we're able to lift some mask policies in certain parts of the building and see each other's faces for the first time. But yeah, so the community garden, we're looking for volunteers all the time. They can shoot me an email and we'll get you in there.
That's wonderful. Really quick, what do you grow there? What kind of?
So we try to grow a little bit of everything. I'm big on some odd stuff. We've really gotten our guests of the pantry used to some different produce, which is great. But in general, there's always going to be your squashes, you know, summer squash, zucchini, tomatoes, cucumbers. Our peas are about as tall as I am right now, which is exciting. A little rain and sun has done the garden really, really well. But I'm trying to think of some of the fun stuff we put in this year. I'm growing some mini butternut squash, which I think are a little less intimidating to folks. They end up being about, 5-6 inches tall versus these big monsters. But yeah, we try to do a little bit of everything. We have a beautiful herb garden too that we're reestablishing, so that's exciting.
I know I'd appreciate that. They do get intimidating, those squashes there.
Yeah, sometimes they're hard just to cut in half, right?
Oh man. So if someone wanted to volunteer, let's break it down. If someone wanted to volunteer, how could they go about doing that?
Sure. So they could email me at my regular Jonnycake email, or there's also the garden email, both which are located on our website. I believe the garden one is just communitygarden no, I don't want to mess it up. So we'll just have people refer to the website for that. Or if Ben, you can do your magic and find it for me and have it go across the bottom, that'd be great. But they can reach out to the volunteer office as well. And Adrienne helps with both of that. That one is just volunteer at jonnycake.org. That's an easy one. So that would be a good start. And they can just write on that application online. They can say where they'd like to help.
Alrighty.
I'm just going to just add in that I know the food pantry and community garden volunteers are wanted, as Sarah said, and that we also welcome volunteers really across our operations, especially for the thrift store, for social services, for some administrative tasks as needed, even stuff out in the community. I think, and our volunteer opportunities are open to all ages and abilities. So if you or someone you know are looking for volunteer work, we'll make something work as best that we possibly can.
Alrighty. There's the email, and apparently there are many opportunities for folks who want to get involved. So go ahead and send your emails there and get involved with this crucial community service. And what about if someone wanted to donate? How would they go about that?
So there's a few different ways to donate. We accept donations for our thrift store. We accept donations for the food pantry. And we accept donations, just fiscal donations in general, which really help our organization do what it needs to do. So we'll start out with thrift donations. As you can see on the screen, our thrift store, if you've been to our thrift store, every single thing that you'll see in our thrift store has been donated from the generosity of the community. So we accept clothes, housewares, jewelry, furniture by appointment only, electronics, multimedia, craft supplies, linens, shoes. I mean, really the whole gamut. It's a small list of what we don't accept, which is mostly stuff like mattresses and box springs. We do not accept pull-out or sleeper sofas. We don't accept furniture that's made of particle board, mostly just because those items tend to not store so well when we have to store them in our warehouse, or there's just not much of a market for those specific items. Otherwise, most items except those we will accept. So we have open donation appointments Mondays through Saturdays. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. No donations on Sundays. And if you have one of those items to donate, all you have to do is just come to our rear parking lot on Industrial Drive. If you pull up between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., you'll see some big yellow carts that are labeled for housewares or they're labeled for clothes. We just ask that you pre-sort and pre-bag your items. If you have hangers in your clothes, please take the clothes out. But it just takes a few seconds just to drive up, drop the items in the cart, and then drive away. And that's for most items except furniture or really large items. If you do have furniture to donate, we would love to see your furniture. We love getting furniture donations. That just has to be made by appointment, just because we just don't really have the ability at this moment to take furniture in the same moment that it's offered. Space is at a premium in our warehouse. But if you do have some sellable quality furniture, we would love to see it. All you have to do is just send an email to the email address thriftdonations@jonnycake.org. Just let us know what you'd like to donate for furniture, and then we'll let you know if we think we can accept it. And then our staff will email you back with time to come by and drop off whatever you have to drop off. So again, that's we call those drive and drop donations for our thrift store, Mondays through Saturdays, 10 to 2. We just ask that you please, if those hours aren't convenient for you, we do ask that you please do not leave items in our entryways before or after hours, or on Sundays, just because when those items are left out, almost always they'll get ruined. We just don't have anybody to take them in. So if you have clothes that are sitting out all weekend, or if you leave us lamps or whatever, it'll almost likely be ruined from exposure to the weather. So we just do ask that you please only come during the marked times. We also have appointments available if those times are not that convenient. Just email thriftdonations@jonnycake.org. So we also for furniture pickups from your house or place of residence, we do have a box truck that goes out in the area. It mostly stays around the Westerly and Cheraho area, and I believe on the east side of the Mystic River. So if you live in the eastern part of Mystic or Stonington, then we can send our truck out to you. But again, that all has to be made by appointment with thrift donations at johnnycake.org. We have physical donations to our organization. As I said earlier, any amount makes a difference. Even $1 lets us purchase 10 pounds of food, which could really make a real difference to an underserved family in our area. So if you have a physical donation, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. It really helps us do what we need to do to serve our community. You can make that donation by visiting our website, johnnycake.org, and there's the information right on the screen. Or you can call our main line, which is 401-377-8069. And we also have a dedicated donation line, and that number is 401-315-4708. And all that information is on our website. And you can know checks are also accepted, mailed to our address at 23 Industrial Drive in Westerly. And for food donations, which make a huge difference as well, I'll let Sarah talk about how food donations work.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things we had to change too in the last year. For the first couple of months, we had to stop all donations, and we just were receiving product from our vendors. So that was tricky. But we've reintroduced the community donation program a while back. So right now we have it set up similarly to the thrift store, where it is no contact. We have the 55-gallon and smaller blue barrels outside that are branded with our logo for safe food donations. And it's Monday through, nope, that's a bit. It is Tuesday through Thursday right now, because Mondays and Fridays are a little tricky for us. Tuesdays through Thursdays, as soon as we close, so anywhere between 12 and 12:30, and then we bring them in at the end of the day around 3:30. And same thing, if people have items that they want to donate, that it's either a large donation and it won't fit in the barrel, they can always contact me. If those times don't work, I'm always open to scheduling different times. And since we're heading into fresh produce season, I'll probably start putting a baker's rack out there with some banana boxes to collect more fragile donations that also shouldn't be put at the bottom of a big barrel. But the donations from the community those are the things that provide us kind of the fun stuff that doesn't always come from the food bank. Not to say the food bank doesn't provide us with incredible product, but some of the interesting odds and ends that end up going on our whiteboard of choices, those come directly from the community. And this community has just blown me away, ever since I started working at the Jonnycake Center, but especially in the last 14, 15 months, just incredible.
Wow, so many opportunities to help out. If you're watching this, go rewind to when we started talking about this. Pick your favorite way that you would like to help Jonnycake and write it down, and then get out there and help this crucial organization. I'm so glad there's so much opportunity to help.
So many opportunities, so many different. I have to ask, what's the email budget for the Jonnycake Center? Because you guys have more email addresses than any organization of your size that I've ever seen, and they're all wonderful. But I love that it's like, not only is there an email to volunteer, but there's an email to specifically volunteer with the community garden. And I love that on your site, it couldn't be easier to make donations for the thing that you want, general purpose or food pantry or community garden. So many opportunities, like Mike said, and so specific, like the specific way that you want to help your community is outlined for you. You guys just do incredible work, the two of you and the whole organization. So kudos and thank you on behalf of the Westerly Pawcatuck community for that.
And thank you. And as Sarah said, I mean, we couldn't do it without the incredible support of the Westerly area and our neighbors in the last year and since we were founded. I mean, we really do rely on the generosity of the Westerly area to be volunteers everywhere that we need volunteers, and to donate what we need to sell for a thrift store, or to donate food for our pantry, or to help out any way possible. I mean, it's really not an exaggeration at all to say our jaws have dropped many times in the last year, especially in such a tough year, for how willing so many people across the entire area have been in just wanting to help out. It's really been just absolutely unbelievable.
Matt knows me well enough to know that I'm not exaggerating. It brought me to tears several times over the last year, just overwhelmed by how incredible the area is that we're in.
Man, thank you for sharing all that. We love Jonnycake. We love having you on. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
And I muted you again, Matt. Sorry, hold on.
And
You have to actually. You muted yourself. You have to unmute.
Here we go.
Here off camera, I'd be remiss to not say we also take pet food. Pet and dog food is always needed in the food pantry. So all the bellies need to be filled.
Any way you want to help your community. Anyway, the Jonnycake Center is fantastic. I'm sure that we will have you guys on probably next month. Just see you in a couple weeks.
It's always a pleasure.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You
Take
too.
care.
Oh, man.
That was
guys, check out jonnycake.org because there's way too many email addresses and phone numbers and opportunities to mention. Like, if you have furniture to donate, they'll literally come pick it up, and you can sort things, and the thrift store and the food pantry and a community garden and all of these just amazing, the social services, like, you know,
There's so many ways. Pick your way. However you want to help your community, Jonnycake is a place you can go to do it.
It's crazy.
That's what's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's not. They're not going to prescribe to you, oh, this is how we're going to help the community. You figure it out how you want to help, and then you go to them, and
they're like, yeah, we do that.
We do that already.
We do that.
Let's do it.
That's something that we already do. And I think that if it wasn't something that they already did, they'd be like, sure, and here's an entire department. It's such a wonderful organization, and everyone that we meet is as incredible as the last, as far as the people that work there. So just thank you for your service to our community, Jonnycake Center. Mike, if people want to be on the show,
email me here. It's my name, michael.t.niemeyer@gmail.com. We would love to have anyone on from Westerly to talk about what you're up to. Whether you have a small business, whether you have you're doing charity work, we have everyone on, and we'd love to have you on. So go ahead and send me an email. I promise I'll answer right away, and be very excited to hear from you. So go ahead, send me an email there.
I just gotta say, I feel like squirrels used to be more afraid of people, and now they're like coming up to me like constantly during the show, and it's not cool. Squirrels, I thought we had a deal. Anyway, Michael, my friend, you are a force of nature and such a wonderful force for good in this community. So please, if you'd like to be on the show to chat with my good friend, please email this email address. And Mike, in addition to that, I just want to wish you a very happy Father's Day tomorrow. You deserve it, buddy. You're an amazing dad, and I know that there's no better gift that you're going to get this year than that video of your little girl laughing. So I love you, and happy Father's Day. And yeah, that's it.
Love you too. You have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and man, get out there and enjoy the weather.
Yes,
enjoy Westerly.
Absolutely. And tomorrow, downtown Westerly, the Westerly ARC's Juneteenth celebration, 10 a.m. to noon, and the Westerly Library's book walk through Wilcox Park, 12 to 2. Check those out. Really, really important stuff. And let's kick off the first official national holiday remembrance of this event with these two wonderful events. So, all right. Bye, Mike.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
You too.